to rely on when you're in a critical moment, right? It's very easy to be like, oh yeah, when you're having extreme symptoms, jump to these things that we teach you in Your Life is Your Medicine. Okay, yeah, for somebody, for instance, I've had a lot of experience in this medicine. I've had a lot of patients. I've had a lot of conditions. I've seen so much healing across the board. A couple of years ago, in that relationship that I was in, my body was talking to me. And I actually had what you would call a full body staph infection. I have pictures. It was glorious. And it wasn't wrong, right? The body wasn't wrong, and it wasn't random. And, but because of my understanding of everything, I didn't run to antibiotics then, right? Would that be the advice I would give a random person? Probably, most definitely no. Why? Because I've lived a very different life than that person. And I have a very different understanding, and I have a very different belief system, right? Because of the work that I've done, not because I'm better, because of the actual repetitions that I've done in this world of the body, healing all of these different things. And one very important point to make right here is my understanding doesn't make me immune to anything ever happening to my body. I just handle it differently. I go about the resolution or prevention, if you will, differently. I don't like that word at all, but you get what I'm saying. So me going through that in that way, and then having an individual observe me going through that, gave that person more confidence in the event that anything happened that everybody else would deem a medical emergency. So again, when you haven't seen this, when you haven't got to do this work and haven't had the experience and the repetitions, your confidence in this world is going to be a lot less. So when you're making these critical decisions, give yourself grace, because what you've been taught to rely on is not this world. It's not, oh, I've got a full body staph infection. Cool. Let's just keep going and make a few lifestyle changes and start addressing, some relationship things and the other parts of that I could do better on. No, you're going to go, this is not okay. This is very severe. I've heard horror stories about this, that it could be turn into a blood infection, all of these different things. I need to go get help. So again, that's actually an appropriate response in that moment, even if it's not what you want it to be. So how do you have a different appropriate response? You live a different life, right? And in those critical moments, there's a beauty in critical moments that wakes you up to being like, okay, well, I'm not prepared to be who I want to be in this moment. And instead of being like, oh, I don't believe in the body and I don't believe in healing, and stop. You're relying on the only muscle that you've spent time building up, because that's what your parents use, that's what society uses. So stop, don't do that to yourself, and make a decision based off what you're equipped with in that moment. And then if in that moment you're like, I want to be more equipped than this next time, then that's the decision. I also want you to backpack off of the other decision and be like, okay, we're going to get through this moment. Because sometimes, I even had patients that had to have an emergency surgery. Are they wrong? No, they didn't. We didn't live a life up until that point that prepared us to overcome that. And so they had to make that decision. So then we do it, and then we change immediately, right? Before, during, after, we're not the same person. It's not, oh, thank God it bailed me out and now I'm not going to change anything, right? No, that moment that you were like, I wasn't equipped enough to not go rely on a doctor to hand me an antibiotic I didn't want to take, and then I'm going to worry about it. Instead of being like, oh, I'm terrible, just be like, okay, I wasn't prepared. How do I get prepared? Today, today, we live a different way. What could you be doing better? Could you be doing the nutrition better? Could you be doing light better? Sleep, what could you be doing better in your life in a way that contributes back to this physical body? Not what rigid diet could you get on for the next month, or what herb do you need to add in to support the kidneys? No, I need you thinking bigger. What do I need to change in my life to where my body is prepared no matter what comes up, right? That's how I want you thinking. Because again, we would be, if I were to say, blanket statement, you were wrong for choosing an antibiotic. Wait, what? You have no idea the situation, the scenario, what was going on in your mind, what you were feeling in your body. Nobody can make a comment on that unless we were sitting there right with you, taking everything into consideration, being like, okay, actually, this was her best move at this time because she wasn't prepared to do it with just diet alone or, all of these other tools that we have available to us, right? So that's one piece of the conversation. But the other piece is exactly what we talked about. I feel like you were in the mind class, maybe not. But what we talked about in that mind class. So now if you're in the world of fear, what are you contributing to your chemistry? And then go into how we changed that, what those steps that we talked about in changing that, because that's how you're going to start building that muscle of the mind. My mind will not be poison to me anymore. My mind will not be poison. Period. If I have a say, that's not going into my blood. Oh, you little cutie. Sorry, she makes my whole heart just go. And so that's where I would go with that. So now use this as, you know how I talk about diagnosing your life and not your body? What would you diagnose your life in this moment? If you're being beautifully honest with yourself, be like, whew, we don't really trust this. We could do a little bit more on this. I'm a little bit unprepared in these areas. Now you have your prescription, right? And then the conversation, was she wrong for taking an antibiotic? I don't care. That's not the right conversation. That's not the right question. That's not going to empower you in any way. Did you do it? Yes. Okay, next. Are you still doing it? Yes. Okay, next. How do you feel, right? And that's how to live this. And that might help you even, when we talk about making the choices, like you choose based on where you're at and who you are when you're there.